This episode of Test Drive is brought to you by Elmec and their EV Duty Smart Home Charger. Well, friends, if you know anything about my channel, you know that I like to do a lot of electrified vehicles, and we've also had the chance to feature a number of Jeep Wranglers, the Gladiator, and other Jeeps over the years, and now we can combine the two. This is a 2022 Jeep Wrangler 4xe Unlimited Rubicon. Now, I'll go over some of the information about this vehicle before we go on. Ours is configured quite well. Most of the features have been checked off on this, giving us an as-tested price just north of $73,000 Canadian, just over $70,000 in the US. It is pretty pricey, but if you compare it to a similarly equipped Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon, not the 4xe, it's only about $600 or $700 difference between the two. Plus, this can qualify for electric vehicle rebates depending on where you're buying it. Now, why might you be interested in this SUV? Well, it uses a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine and has 2 electric motors. The first one is essentially acting as the starter motor, has a very small amount of power, but can help to boost the front engine a little bit. And then the second electric motor is located further back into the vehicle and essentially replaces the torque converter on a standard Jeep Wrangler, giving you quite a bit of oomph if you want to go quick. This has 375 horsepower combined, 470 pound-feet of torque. Pretty impressive numbers out of this vehicle, and it uses a special 8-speed plug-in hybrid transmission. Now, this is pretty much the only way it comes. You can't get the 2-door as of this time, though Jeep might expand that down the road, and essentially the Rubicon is the top-end trim here in Canada, giving you more off-road capabilities than you would get with some of the other trims available. Now, I don't plan on really doing any off-roading with this. We have done that before with the Jeep Wrangler, but I will be talking about how this vehicle performs as a plug-in hybrid. Does it make sense to be spending $73,000 on this? And does it still live up to everything that you would expect a Jeep Wrangler to do? We're going to be finding out as we spend our time with this. It uses a 17.3 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery, currently giving me about just under 40 kilometers of EV range, or about 25 miles, which isn't too bad considering it is about minus 15 degrees Celsius right now. It is pretty cold. But I want to take it on the road. We're going to be talking extensively about how this vehicle performs throughout the whole week that I've had it, and most importantly, how the plug-in hybrid system works with the new Jeep 4xe. All right, I think the most important thing when it comes to this Jeep 4xe is to talk about the fuel economy, because it is going to be an important selling factor. Now, I was able to do a 100 kilometer test loop without having the vehicle charged up. So essentially it was in normal hybrid mode. I completed the test loop in 12.2 liters per 100 kilometers. I then had the chance to fill it up completely. Car was fully charged, did it again, and I got down to 9.2 liters per 100 kilometers. The US miles per gallon are below in the lower third. So not bad numbers overall from like a mid-size off-roader like this. If you're going to be charging it, you're going to see the biggest benefit. Because I did do a lot of driving this week and there weren't a lot of places to charge up, and I averaged closer to like 13 liters. 13.3 even in some cases. Now, the vehicle was more or less fully loaded. I had passengers and cargo, but the charge dissipated pretty quickly. Now, we're at full percent right now. Well, 96. Took me a couple percent just to get everything started up and going here. I have 33 kilometers of range, and it currently is 2 degrees Celsius outside, so it's not overly cold. We're not really seeing as close to that 40-ish kilometer range that we should be seeing, or more. Now, obviously in the spring and summer, that will be a lot better. I am in full electric mode. You do have 3 options for the electronic system here. You have hybrid, which the vehicle will start up in. You have electric, which won't work if it's too cold out. I've noticed around minus 10 degrees Celsius. If it's too cold, you have the heat on, it's not going to be able to run in full electric mode. And then you have e-save mode, which will either allow you to, save the electric motor that you have, or there should be a way to be able to charge it up a little bit as you're driving along. That's about it. There aren't really any other options. So those are the 3 there. You have a brake regen button. You either have off or on. So if it's off, the vehicle will perform pretty much as you would expect a Jeep Wrangler to perform. You let go of the gas and you'll just coast. With it on, which it starts up in, will use sort of that brake force regeneration as soon as you let go of the gas. So we're coming up here to a stop sign. If I let go, the vehicle will start slowing down.
recouping a little bit of that electricity. So a couple options there. Works decently enough. I haven't had any complaints about it, but we are in 4 automatic mode right now because the roads are a little messy. Not bad. And all week I was able to drive it in 2-wheel drive mode. All of the test loop numbers, that was all 2-wheel drive. So that number will increase if you are in 4-wheel drive mode. But overall, I mean, it works. The nice feature, the nice benefit of this vehicle is you can have 4-wheel drive in full electric mode, which we're in now. The engine has not started since I started the vehicle up, because the way that the vehicle is designed, essentially, where the engine, transmission, and then the electric motor sits that drives this vehicle, it acts as that transfer case, allowing you to use 4 anytime you need it without having to kick over to the gas system. So depending on how much driving you do or what you're doing with it and how much charging you can really do with the vehicle, you should be in good shape. Now I want to talk about a couple other things about the electric system before I talk about the rest of the Wrangler experience. One thing I've noticed with the remote starter is if the vehicle is plugged in to a charger, for the most part it will start up in electric mode, start heating the car through the electricity. Obviously it'll start pulling more power from the charger depending on where you're using it. However, I have noticed if you're not plugged in, even if it's not super cold out and you remote start it, chances are it'll start the engine instead. The other things that I've noticed too when driving this, you've got the charging port there. It's functional enough. We could debate all day where the charging ports should be located for the most convenience. But at public charging stations, I've noticed that this would take about 2 hours, 45 minutes from 0 to 100%. But at home, with the EV Duty Smart Home Charger that I have, it's about 2 hours. So a little bit better if you're at home. Obviously, that makes the most sense. If you're using like the level 1 charger, don't even bother. It's like 13 to 16 hours to charge this thing up. I was using it just to test it out, and for a couple hours I got like legitimately 2.5 hours of charging. I had 7% battery. So if you're buying this and you really don't have an electric charger, I guess so. It's one of the things that I want to talk about is how this vehicle could essentially replace most, not entry-level Wranglers, but if you're looking at a Wrangler, you're not necessarily going to be doing a lot of off-roading. Not that this isn't capable, but I just feel that the people who are going to be buying this will probably not necessarily be doing off-roading. Then this could be an option because it's not that much more expensive than a regular Wrangler configured the same way. As I said, it's about $600-700 depending on which trim you get and all the features. But if you were looking at this exact vehicle without the electric portion, from what I can tell, it's like $650. So depending on where you live, if you have rebates and incentives, then this vehicle makes way more sense. Here in Quebec, you get the full PHEV tax credits, so you're saving quite a bit. And even in an area like Ontario that doesn't have any provincial rebates, you still should get a federal one, giving you a better MSRP on this vehicle. So there's some options there. I really do like it. I think this is my favorite Jeep Wrangler that I've driven. I'm not even too disappointed with the Rubicon trim. Again, nothing wrong with it. I just don't do off-roading, so I wouldn't configure it as the Rubicon, but it's actually worked out very well, especially with the potholes that we have here in Quebec. I don't worry about them as much. This car will eat them up. But I like the fact that I have a somewhat electrified Jeep. It works very well. I could barely tell this week that it was electric. I think the only times that it's the most obvious is the transition between electric and gas, especially if you don't have a lot of charge left, so you really are going at like 0%. Coming off the line, sometimes it will have sort of a jittery transition to get to the gas system from electric, but it still works. For the most part, it's working the way that I would expect it to, so good job on Chrysler. But there isn't anything really new about this vehicle that we haven't tested before outside of the electric portion, and that really is the biggest change for this vehicle. We've done a number of Wranglers. We did the Gladiator as well. So if you really wanted to know absolutely everything that there is to know about the Jeep Wrangler, I would take a look at any of the other videos that we've done. They've been linked throughout this video, as well as the end of the video will have a link to it. But for the most part, you're going to be looking at this because you do want something that is somewhat eco-friendly. You're still using up a lot of gas even if you're in town, so it'll depend. But honestly, if you're in the market for a Jeep Wrangler, definitely look at the plug-in version. Take a look at the 4xe, see if it will fit in your lifestyle. If you're doing any small amounts of driving, like I would be going today to the grocery store, definitely going to be using full electric mode, even with four-wheel drive. I'm quite satisfied that it's going to cost me next to nothing to do it. So definitely consider it if you're in the market for it, but I really do recommend having a level 2 charger and being in an area that has more charging opportunities. It's going to make a big difference. But if you have any questions about the Jeep Wrangler, please let me know in the comments below. I do try to get back to everybody that I can, so you can leave your comment below, give a thumbs up to the video if you liked it, and consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't done so already. Until next time, thanks for watching, and take care.